A lot of federal agencies have been dealing with budget cuts, and when the budget gets cut, it means the hiring slows down. This has impacted the State Department, which had a 7% budget cut. The Foreign Service, which is a sub-agency of the State Department, has mentioned specifically that they're going to have to slow down hiring. This is a big deal because all agencies need to continue to hire. This is to just match the attrition rate. Every year, you have people jumping into the private sector. You have employees that are retiring. In order to keep an agency flat, it needs to be hiring year-round. The Foreign Service has over 13,000 employees, and this is the agency you want to be in if you're interested in being a Foreign Service Officer, or FSO, which is in the 0130 job series. These jobs are usually on the FP pay scale, which is different than the GS pay scale that we talk about. This is because the lower the class number, the more you get paid, and the steps, they go all the way up to step 14. There's a lot of interest in the Foreign Service and being an FSO. You come out to Washington, D.C., you get some training. After that, you're placed on a register. You can end up working at an embassy. You can work at a consulate. During your time there, the government could be paying for you to learn a different language. You're around a different culture. So a lot of people find it as an amazing opportunity, very enriching, but it can also create strains in your personal life when it comes to personal relationships. So it's not for everybody. If you're not motivated by public service, this career is probably not for you. The current class of FSOs, it looks pretty packed. But if we look forward to the fall class, it's only going to be half as big as the summer class. So it is shrinking. Each FSO class can add between 200 and 220 new Foreign Service officers. Right now, there's a 13% staff gap, which means that the agency is missing 1,000 employees that it should have, but it doesn't. The average age of a new hire is 36 years old, and about 20% of new hires happen to be military veterans. The Foreign Service ranks in the top 25% of smaller federal agencies, and they only have a 3% attrition rate. All these numbers, they point to a good, solid agency for you to work in. That's if you can get in. Now, these budget cuts, they don't only impact the Foreign Service, they impact the whole State Department. And as you know, if you've been watching the news, the State Department has been keeping itself very busy, mainly with the situation in Israel and Hamas, and then the situation in Ukraine. Then you have the broader Middle East region it's been focusing on. That's where it's spending its energy, its time, the time it takes to analyze, to report, to support. All that is going into these areas. The Department of State has also assisted 70,000 Americans just last year. This is all across the world, where there's crisis happening, there's emergencies that you don't even know about because it never reaches the mainstream media, but they're helping out on a daily basis. Okay, so despite these cuts, can we still find jobs in the Department of State, in the Foreign Service? Let's get on USAJobs and run a search. If you filter by Department of State and search Foreign Service, we have 29 jobs open right now. 2 Foreign Service officer positions, and if you look at the job announcement, these are open for 12 months. This is a good thing because they're going to pick people periodically throughout the year and offer them an opportunity to interview or take their assessments. So I would definitely apply if you're interested in something like this. You're going to have to take the Foreign Service Officer test, and then after that, it ends with your name being placed on a register. You can even find a practice test link that's available on the job announcement if you want to get an idea of what type of questions you will be asked. But not everybody wants to be an FSO, and there's other opportunities in the State Department where you can find work as an auditor, maybe IT specialist. We have a public affairs position here. You also have human resource positions as well. And it's not just the Department of State that has 0130 jobs. Look at the USAID agency, which stands for the Agency of International Development. They have 0130s. You can find 14 open positions on USAJobs.gov for 0130s in that agency. Just like the Department of State, USAID, their jobs will probably require some level of clearance, whether that's secret or top secret. So I've been talking a lot about budgets recently. You have some agencies, like the Department of State, that had a reduction in their budget. Other agencies, look at the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. They had a budget increase. That was to hire air traffic controllers. So it's going to change year by year, depending on what the focus is. This is an election year. Probably not going to have big changes happening this year. Look at next year. Next year could be completely different. But if you're in the job searching phase, I would encourage you not to be laser focused on just one agency. You should be looking at all the agencies. There's hundreds of agencies. Keep your filters open, search by the job series, and keep applying on a daily basis. Take this for example. Let's say you're a 0343 or you're somebody who has experience analyzing data. You want to do that, but you want to do it for NASA. Only a few job announcements are going to pop up for NASA. You apply to those, a lot of competition. Stop focusing on NASA, look at somewhere else. Look at the Department of Agriculture. What's going on over there? Maybe there's a job in the 0343 series that you can bring your skill set to. You can start getting experience after a few years. You're now a tenured employee. You have competitive status because you're in a competitive service job for at least 3 years. You take that and then apply to a NASA job when they become available. Do not be hyper-focused. Try to get in, and then you can try to move around. Okay, if you are interested in the Department of State, besides the 0130, the next popular job series in this agency is the 0343, Management and Program Analyst. If you didn't know, the president just released its budget plan for the rest of this year. This means certain agencies are looking to grow by a lot more. In fact, I believe the number is 20,000. 20,000 new government jobs. If you want to know where those jobs are at, which agencies, if you want to know that information, then I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.